Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys in a Ride, and today Rob and I are out here with Randy. We're looking at some of the cars from his collection, and we've got another stunning one behind us. So Randy, what is this?
This is a 1958 Dodge Regal Lancer.
Wow, oh, the colors combination on it.
Copper and black. Actually, Chrysler called it bronze and black.
Okay, and there were, what, 4 different color schemes you could get on here?
4 possibilities out of 3 paint colors. So you could get copper and black, as this one is, or you could get black and copper, where they just reversed it.
Everything.
They made cream and copper, or reversed copper and cream.
All right, so when you bought this one, was it in this shape, or did you buy it and restore it?
I bought this car in 2008 at Barrett-Jackson in Scottsdale.
Okay.
It came across the block, and I was way in the back of the auditorium. I was drinking a lot of whiskey, and I was pretty well lubricated. And I saw that car up on the block, and I didn't know what it was. I had never heard of a Dodge Regal Lancer or anything else. But I just thought it looked like a pretty neat car. And I said to my friend, I'm going to just throw one bid out and just see what happens.
You got it.
And so what happened, I don't exactly remember, but all of a sudden there was people behind me patting on the back, and they were cheering and they were clapping. And I was trying to signal to the auctioneer that I wanted to stop. So I was drawing my hand across my neck thinking that was stop, but I think that actually means a half bid. I don't know. But I don't know how many bids. I don't know what happened. Time went by very quickly, and all of a sudden he pointed at me and he said, "You just bought a car." And I went, "Well, okay. How much did I spend? Anybody have a clue?" So I said to my buddy, I said, "Let's go to the bar, let's grab another whiskey, and then let's go over to see where they park it, and just to go see what I bought, because I have no idea what this thing is."
Oh, man. All right. Well,
yeah, that's how it worked.
Well, not all cars are bought under the same circumstances, are they?
No, but I recommend it. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. So this car was already in this shape.
It was pretty much. The interior, the seats particularly, were pretty well worn. The paint had a few little chips and need a little polishing, a little sprucing up, but pretty much in this shape, yes.
Okay. So this wasn't one that Michael took from the pile of rust that you gave him and brought it back to life.
Not this one. No, he didn't have to breathe life into this.
All right. Now, what kind of a motor did it have in it?
Well, this is an unusual motor. This is a 350 big block offered by Chrysler in 1958 only, part of their RB, or raised block series.
Okay. How much? Approximately how much horsepower?
This is 295 horse with one 4-barrel carburetor, and that was the standard engine that came in this car.
Okay, but it was for that year only.
That year only.
Interesting.
And this car happens to be what they called a springtime edition. So this car came out in February of '58, which is kind of halfway into the model year. They introduced this car to compete with the likes of Chevrolet's Impala and Ford's Thunderbird, cars like that were all car manufacturers in '58 were having a little bit of a tough go because it was a recession year. Okay. So they were all struggling for sales, and so Dodge thought that maybe they could boost sales by coming up with this special springtime edition.
I love the hint of flight on the engine hood. You know, with the sort of the split.
Two rockets.
Two rockets there.
Yeah.
And then, in the back here with the surrounds on the brake and the backup lights.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's so many artsy things on this car. All right, so one of the things, from a distance, Randy, this looks like another backup light.
It looks like it, but it's not a light at all.
It's not. Okay. The backup light's down your brakes, but I love this.
Yeah, the little teeth. It
kind of reminds me of the back end of a rocket.
To me, it's like a king's crown, or the little teeth or whatever. In woodworking, they call that dental molding. Right?
Yes. But this is beautiful on this car. The lines on the side of the car.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost makes it look like the fins were an afterthought and put on top of a frame, but it works on this car.
Yeah, I kind of think they were an afterthought. It sort of looks like it with the chrome trim that kind of covers up where they grafted them together. I don't really know. They called this the Swept Wing Dodge in 1958.
But that is just, I mean, it looks so good.
And then they had these incredible exhaust tips that you might want to get a picture of, Rob. They were a special item, too, that was just on the Regal Lancer.
Oh, really? Okay.
I could be wrong. I'm thinking maybe it was on the Custom Royal Lancer, too. I'm not sure.
Okay. But not on every. It
was on a top-of-the-line deal, yeah.
Okay. All right. Now you had dual antennas in the rear.
Dual antennas were standard, yes.
Okay. And then would have been a 6-passenger.
Yes.
Okay, bench seat in the front and rear.
Bench seat, yes.
Okay.
And when we discussed colors earlier, and I was saying there was 4 possible colors, but the interiors on these were always the same. The interior that this car has is exactly what the factory made, and that's the only, no matter what color car you ordered, you always got that color of an interior.
Really?
Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That they didn't change that. Okay. All right. I love the symbols that come around the car. You know, they got them on the hubcaps of the wheels. You got them on the tail fins in the back.
The little Lancer guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. Those wheel covers are highly coveted by hot rodders and the like. They like to put them on their hot rods. So.
Okay. All right, well, go ahead.
I should probably have those welded on.
You might want to, yes. All right. Well, can we sit inside and talk about the interior for a minute?
We sure can.
All right. Now, I've heard of people putting mood lighting in their ceiling. You got sparkles on your car floor.
Yeah.
On your carpet.
Sparkle carpet, yes. Looks Hollywood-esque, doesn't it?
It does, but that's what it would have been, right?
Right, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
all right.
They did that on this Dodge, and DeSoto also did it in their Adventurers.
Okay. So talk to us about there's something unique about the dashboard here in the speedometer.
Well, the speedometer is what we call a ribbon speedometer, and it goes across, and it rises up in bars.
Okay.
And they start out, I believe, in red. We'll have to take it for a ride, but they change colors. As you change speed, the bar color changes.
Okay. And then down below, you got, what do you have for gauges?
Well, we got ammeter on the left, fuel gauge, clock, by the way it is running, as a matter of fact, oil pressure, and engine temperature.
I love it. I love how that's done with the 5 pods. Now, tell us about the buttons that are down below that.
Well, here on the left, we have lights.
Okay.
And then we have map light. That's it. That's the map light. And then we have blower for the heater.
Okay.
And defroster. Yes. Turn that. Yes.
Okay.
Changes the direction of the air. Windshield wipers are up here.
All right.
Cigar lighter. And a rotating
cool
ashtray.
And then did the radio have the same safety systems we've seen on some of the other late 50s, early 60s cars for Cold War stuff?
Correct. It has the circle with the triangular.
Okay, so it's got the triangle symbol with the circle,
Yep,
indicating that that's where you would go to get emergency information.
Exactly. In the event of a nuclear attack, that when I was a kid, we all got trained on what to do in the event of a nuclear attack. So we're all afraid of that. The Russians were going to come and bomb us for sure, and we needed to get emergency information to deal with that.
And if you remember, if you were in school, the way to deal with that was what?
Duck and cover. You got under your desk and covered your head and hoped for the best.
Oh,
but
boy.
We all knew how that was going to ultimately turn out.
Okay, so this had a push-button transmission as well.
Correct, yes. Push buttons on the left. Yeah.
Okay.
Neutral drive, first, second, and reverse.
Okay, reverse. Again, no park, so
No
you had
park.
to set the emergency brake.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And then down below was a heater, air conditioner, or just a heater?
Just
or?
a heater.
Okay,
yeah.
and a
Just
vent, I
slide
suppose.
it to get
Yep.
hot. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you'd slide for heat and then turn the blower on to blow.
adjust the
Yeah,
fan
yeah.
speed. Glove compartment on the other side.
Glove box.
And
yeah.
then your rear view mirror attached to the dashboard.
Yeah. One of the other features of the Regal Lancer was these thick padded
Sun visors?
sun visors. Now, I don't necessarily know why, because they're thick and padded, that's a terribly big deal, but it is a big deal. It was a feature that was unusual and offered. Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, I don't know why you do that. Maybe frontal collision pre-airbag system.
I don't know. Yeah, yeah. The other feature they touted as being a big deal is on the door panels, the armrests are molded into the door panel, so it's not a separate armrest
piece.
screwed on piece. So that was a big deal. And junk in the trunk.
Whew. All right, so as expected, it has an absolutely massive, massive trunk. Okay, you would have a spare tire there. Would you have had carpet in the trunk?
Again,
Or
that's
just a
something I
vinyl?
can't be sure, but when
Okay.
I bought the car, it had carpet in it. So,
Okay.
Being a Dodge, it could have had carpet or it could have had a vinyl mat. I don't know.
Okay, not quite sure. Well, if you know the answer to that, you can leave a comment down below.
There you go.
So, Randy, what is one of your favorite memories besides the story you told about buying it, which...
Well, I guess in a lot of ways that's my favorite memory.
I can see why.
It changed my life and it changed the lives of my family and everybody I knew, because it affected so much stuff in our lives. Then I started collecting Chryslers and collecting cars, and it just...
So was this your first car?
It wasn't my first, but it was the first one that had an impact like it did.
Okay.
And then I got involved with the Chrysler people and the clubs and all this stuff, and really changed my whole thoughts about what kind of cars I was going to collect.
Okay. Well, I'm just glad you had enough money after bidding whiskey money, right, to get home again. Thanks
Well,
for...
I'm glad I bought the car instead of spending it on something stupid.
There you go, right? You got something of quality. Well, Randy, thank you so much for sharing your time and your story with this car. Absolutely a stunning car.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Rob.
Thanks for watching.